My name is Marcia Small. That's my American name. And my Northern Cheyenne name is Odette Navat. Let's do this. It's kind of a heavy day for me. Well, every day's a heavy day every time I'm working in the cemetery anyway.
Today is International Orange Shirt Day,
A day to honor the lost children of Indian residential schools.
traumatic legacy boarding schools have created on Native American communities.
We are going to Chimawa. It's the oldest working Indian boarding school in the United States. The fact that there are cemeteries at these schools, just saying it just sounds weird, right? My responsibility is finding children that are in these cemeteries. Without this healing, I don't think that America itself can heal. People don't like to learn the ugly America. They want the America, the beautiful.
I call the boarding school era one of America's best kept secrets. Boarding school and the legacy of boarding school has impacted every Native family.
It was a national policy to take Indian children, to beat their native language out of them, to remove them from their families so they wouldn't have that cultural teaching. It's that bad.
When I go into cemeteries, I talk to the children. I tell them those that want to go home may have a possibility of going home. They're not forgotten. It's critical that a Native American does this work, that is the lead in these surveys. The reason I like GPR is because it's considered non-invasive, non-disturbing, which is reflective of our Cheyenne ways. There's about 222 graves here. Kids in here dating back to 1885. You'll just see markers, boom, 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 boom. But these markers, they don't have no relation to the graves. There's a high possibility that there are more graves here than are markers. To me, in my head, it's always been just genocide.
The goal of boarding school was absolute, total assimilation into white European culture. My name is Dr. Denise Lajmadir. I am a citizen of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, or Ojibwe. I've found so far 408 boarding schools. No one had ever asked the United States how many boarding schools we had that were ran here. So I began a long journey of trying to locate as many boarding schools as I could. It's not a perfect science. Captain Richard Pratt believed in the saying at the time, the only good Indian is a dead Indian. But he said, I rather purport to kill the Indian in him and save the man. So he asked the government to start a school in some old army barracks in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. When they arrived at boarding schools, their hair was immediately cut. Some had kerosene put in their hair, and they said it burned. They were given uniforms. They had to work half a day in the kitchen, in the laundry room, work in the fields that they didn't get paid for. The corporal punishment was pretty horrendous. Boarding school survivors tell of kids being taken away and disappearing and never being seen again. They just saw these kids that they weren't even human. They saw them as savages. I father attended Chemawa boarding school from 1925 to 1929. He was stolen. He was 9 years old and put on a train 3 days and 3 nights to Chemawa, Oregon. He always said, compared to boarding school, the army was a piece of cake. How did any of these kids survive these hellholes called boarding schools?